Talking to Brad Maule, a faculty member of both the SFA School of Art and the School of Theater. And Brad, I'm here to ask you today, what did you do in the time after spring break this semester when everything suddenly changed so much for you, our faculty, and our students?
Hi, Scott. Well, I panicked at first a little bit because I had never taught online. I wasn't prepared for it. So it was really going to be off the cuff at first. I teach acting for the camera, and part of my method for that is that I film the students doing monologues or scenes, and then I play it back to them because I can talk till I'm blue in the face trying to correct something that they're doing, and they just like, yeah, okay, I don't believe you. But when I show it to them and stop the tape, all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I am doing this or that. So that's my method. And when we came back, the kids were panicked because they're like, we can't be together. How are we going to film this? What are we going to do? And I said, you're on camera. Welcome. So that one worked out kind of good because they were like, oh, yeah, I guess we are. So we could continue our work on camera. All I couldn't do was stop tape, roll it back, and show them. But still, they had that feeling of performance on camera.
So it's acting for the camera, and basically the main thing was it was suddenly a different camera.
Yeah.
What did you do to adapt to the difference in the technology that you couldn't roll it back in a way that you were used to? Could you still show them their own work?
Well, I think I will be able to do that by this semester or this coming fall semester. For right now, what I did was I tried to make it a more personalized class because I found like I had books that I was working from, and I found that the students at home were multitasking while I was talking. They were eating, they were sleeping, they were looking on their iPad, what they usually do, because this world we live in, they multitask. And they were tweeting and texting and doing all kinds of things. So that was a bit of a challenge. So I found out that you couldn't just sit there with a book, Michael Shurtleff's audition book, and just say, this is the rules, this is what you have to do. What I learned was to engage them, which is I began every class by asking how each one was doing, and I made them talk. And many students don't talk in class. They sit there anonymous, almost disappeared down into themselves, and they catch little bits of your class. But I went to each person and I said, and they got used to it after a while. They knew that they had to tell me how they were doing and what they were doing. And in some cases, I liked this better because it was the first time I made eye-to-eye contact with them. And oftentimes I would find out that there was other issues going on in their life other than the importance of my class. So in that way, it was a wonderful thing. The other thing I did was I let them complain to me a little bit because we're all in this together right now. And I told them my weaknesses. I said, this is new territory for me. You're much smarter on computers than I am, so you may have to help me a bit. And I found that they responded really well to giving me a lift, technically, when I didn't know something. They felt important about it. But also what I found out was that the kids had just sort of started their life in college on their own. They were staying out when they wanted to, cooking what they wanted to, eating what they wanted to. They had a social life. And suddenly it was shut down, and they had gone back to their parents' house where they reverted back to their old habits. And their parents reverted back to their old habits of ordering them to clean the garage, get up, get over here and do this. And I found overall the students miss their dorm rooms, they miss their apartments, they missed their freedom and their individuality. They had just begun to grow up, which is what they're supposed to do in college. And oh yeah, by the way, we got to learn to act. So that's a difference that I think, just making my own case here right now, I think students need to be on campus because for bigger reasons than just us lecturing them, they need to be here to start their lives out as grown-ups.
I was tempted to pick up my phone and make a joke about multitasking while you were talking, but instead,
Well, I told them when they hurt my feelings too.
Good. No, it sounds inspiring in how strongly you were connecting with them, and I appreciate that. I was curious about whether you made any adaptation when because you mentioned both monologues and scenes. Did they ever have scenes that they were recording together, and if so, did you do those on Zoom or whatever computer platform you were using?
No, I decided not to. Even in my class, it's difficult to do scene work. The reason is because I have one camera and I can't do multiple setups all the time. And so it becomes kind of cumbersome, even though the students really work well responding with each other. But what we talked about in class is that even though you do a scene on film or on television video, you do a 2-person or 3-person scene, generally there's several cameras shooting you, and when they do your close-ups and stuff, you end up being alone on camera anyway. So your timing and everything, if you're basing your timing on an in-person presence, that doesn't necessarily adapt well to a close-up in film or television. And I used the example of John Ritter when he was on Three's Company, and that had 5 cameras shooting the dialogue. When you worked with him, you would say your line to set up his joke, and then he would sort of look at you for a beat too long. And I was like, what's wrong with his timing? You know? But what it was, he was waiting for the tally light on the camera to come on so they didn't miss the shot. So he could completely give you the same line reading, but put a little space in there for breathing with the camera shots being edited. And they responded really well to like, oh, isn't that, you know? And the same way, when you do a close-up, as they count down into your close-up, I say when you hear action, it does not mean you have to jump in, because they've got, the camera needs to breathe on you for a moment. They need to have a little edit space in there. And they also don't need any sound prior to you speaking, because that way you won't cover up the other person's dialogue. I said they do that in editing. So in learning to speak to me on Zoom, we had the same effect. You and I can't have a true conversation. I need to wait once I finish speaking for you to speak. So there's ways of doing this.
Well, it is true in every semester. The students are incredibly fortunate to be learning this from a top professional who has worked with even names that are even more household names. And I hope they appreciate what an incredible opportunity it is always. Now,
they tell me their grandmother likes me.
Well, I think everybody likes you, Brad. Hey,
well,
when I speak, I pop up on my own screen in this situation. Were they seeing themselves, and did that make them self-conscious?
That's a good question. I know that for me, I'm pinned to you right now, so I don't see me on it. And I think, and we're just talking about an acting class here, but people that rehearse in front of a mirror, and you know this as a director, it often messes them up because they're like, I look really good this way. So you'll find them walking sideways all the time. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? You know, so I would prefer them to have a gallery view and not see themselves.
Okay, that's the key. Is there anything I haven't asked you about how this went that you wanted to talk about at all?
The only thing I really want to get across in this is applying traditional online instruction is not valid in a Zoom situation. If you're taking an online class, it's really just like a correspondence course and you're open book and doing whatever. A Zoom class has to have the same immediacy as a lecture class, but it's just on camera. It's really up for us to adapt to it. It's not as big. I think it's the future in many ways, and I think it is also a lot of us going, well, I used to remember what it can't be done. Well, it can. It will be done, and you need to get with the program.
That's it. Necessity has been the mother of invention, and appreciate you telling us how it worked in your acting for the camera class, taking the time to chat today, and wish you the best as we continue working our way through all this.
Thank you.